Welcome to the very first episode of Impactful Conversations. My name is Khalalezang Palat. In this episode, our very own Gracious from Impact Drivers had a very insightful conversation with Mr. Tamba Nobatana from Department of Basic Education in South Africa. The conversation was about bridging the gap between the department and young people in the country pertaining to TB awareness measures. This is how it went.
So for me as a youth advocate, it means that the society needs to treat us as equal partners because we have like lots of experiences and we sort of like have so many voices that might be confusing at times. So them treating us as equal partners, bringing us to the table, it's very important so that when they design, because they can't walk in our shoes, but through our personal stories and through our engagement, they are able to walk and design according to what we think as young people. So it's very important to be treated as equal partners. So it's very important, like I said, to curate content that we will consume because most of the times I think policymakers and decision makers, you often think just because it's something that you have been familiar with for the longest time, it's sort of like difficult to transition. But what's the point of creating materials that we won't benefit from them? I think that's why we are seeing so high incidences of TB because we don't know about it. So it's very important for us to study us and ask us what do we want and where are we visible. And if I were to tell you, like we spend most of our times on our phones, watching Netflix documentaries and on Instagram, there's a new app called Threads. So it's about, yes, it's like a Twitter, but it's not a Twitter, it's a Twitter on Instagram. It's complicated, but we will take you down through like a cup of coffee so that you understand. Okay. But I think the most important thing that I need to mention is that we cannot shy away that the digital is here. So we just need to adapt and ensure that everyone is not excluded. Yeah. If we want to talk in terms of sustainability, we as a country need to find like methods on how we raise our own money because we know that there's crisis everywhere. Like every day there's a new thing coming on, and with these things coming on, we are not guaranteed if we will continue to get like funding from these big international organizations. So it's very important for us on a country level to advocate for increased domestic resources that comes from like the government and also the private sector chipping in. So it's very important for us to go with that approach.
As you might understand that every year the National Treasury, they do a budget where they allocate funds according to departments and all that. We, the department, like other government departments, get our money from that budget. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's forever not enough. Forever not enough. You would understand that we're servicing millions of learners. We've got thousands of schools. So that money alone is really not enough. What we are appealing to do as department is issues of partnerships, right? As to, can we work in an intersectoral collaboration setup where government, private sector, NGOs, civil society organizations come together, come together. Then when we are together, we will be able to maximize on the available resources. I'll just make an example. When we were doing the build-up activities in Northwest for World TB Day 2023, right? We're doing TB check in schools. So what happened is, as a department, we don't own any X-ray machine as a department, right? In as much as we've got the platform, which is Integrated School Health Program, where health, education, social development are actually leading. Health also does not have enough resources. So a private sector came in, right, and borrowed us their truck, mobile X-ray truck. So we were able then, to go to school with that truck and screen and test those learners, So which means learners now have received more in terms of service delivery, right? Out of the partnerships that were forged. So that's what we are begging, that partners let's come together, not only in terms of finances, right? In terms of ideas. You indicated that you are youth, right? You and we know that you are on social media and all that. Come together, respond when we call, because through our structures in schools like RCL, PA clubs and all that, we do request kind of input. Come in so that in our programming, in our policy development, we are able to do things in the way that is going to benefit the recipients of the service. Because in as much as we're policymakers, right? But you are youth, you know now even the platforms where you consume the information. They spoke about RIA, what?
Real.
Yes. Can you say? Do you say that I'm saying RIA? Because I don't know. So those are the things, the trends as to that will help us a lot to say these small resources that we have should be used very much effectively.
We would like to call on the world leaders, including the South African government, to close these gaps that hinder us from accessing like prevention, diagnosis, treatment and cure. But most importantly, we would like to call on them to invest in the research and development of new TB tools and to ensure that these tools are accessible to everyone. But while we recognize that, I think most of the time the challenges that we find is that the government structures are not too flexible for us, so we would like for them to be flexible so that they sort of like break down barriers that hinder us from engaging. So it's very important for them to also commit to a multi-sectoral like action when it comes to dealing with TB. So it's very important for them to come together and partner with NGOs that are young, vibrant and youthful, so that we can create tools that are youthful, gender responsive and also like rights-based. So
I'm going to give him a brief, not one thing, but a brief out of this conversation, right? And that brief will actually get us to think as to how do we move forward in coming up with programs, activities that talks to young people. But in the meantime, what I would like to say to young people, especially learners to schools, in one schools, that they must currently use the structures that are there, because there are structures, right, at the school level that we use to communicate with youth. I've indicated RCL, SBST, school-based support teams, right? There is a committee which is SBST, which deals with health and wellness of the learners. But we understand that sometimes it's not easy because the age difference, is quite huge. And guess what? We have came up now with another cadre to our schools, which are called learner support agents. Learner support agents, right, are people that have been employed by the department, right? And usually the ones with matric that just matriculated and all that. We are not that much far, from the learners in terms of age and that. So we're trying to create that space now to say, you look, this is my PA somewhere, somehow. I can be able to vent and speak about those things. Yes, but in the meantime, we'll keep on providing services to schools, through integrated school health program, while we're taking this feedback, and we are very grateful of this, right? We are even going to take it up after this to make sure that our programming is informed by the needs of our target population.
Can I suggest something? Yes. I feel like they should change their languaging, because learner support agent is quite like traumatic to me. I don't think I would like automatically go say, I'm going to see a learner support agent. So if I'm going to see just come to us for names. We'll help you.
Such an insightful engagement indeed. I hope you gain some drive to play your part in TB awareness from this impactful conversation. See what I did there? Be on the lookout for episode 2 of Impactful Conversations coming pretty soon. Ciao for now.